Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Last week I filmed a tutorial on my favourite drugstore foundation and a dupe for the Armani Luminous Silk, and that is why my face is a little bit shiny because we've not moved on from that video just yet. Now I'm going to move on to my favourite contour products. I'm just going to show two because they are my go-to. I reach for them whether it's in my professional kit or my personal kit. I love them, and I think this is kind of like the ultimate product, consistency, everything for all age groups, whether you are mature or very young. You can't go wrong with a cream based product. So much like last week, I showed you an affordable foundation and a more expensive foundation. I'm going to do the same today. I have, which you know I am a massive fan of, the Nude Sticks Bondi Bay and the SOSU Contour Stick. These are not new to you. If you follow my channel already, you will have already seen them, but this is an easy way to break down my ultimate go-to favourites, my holy grail contour products, and these two are those. I also love the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Stick. I love any of those kind of cool toned creamy based sticks that are easy to reach for. I just love the consistency of these particular ones more. So I'm going to do the SOSU on this side and the Nude Sticks Bondi Bay on this side. I'm going to show you both of them together. So this one is the SOSU Contour Stick in Cool, and then we've got Bondi Bay by Nude Sticks. Now the Nude Sticks one is ever so slightly more orangey. You can see this one is a bit cooler. This has also got a slightly more mattifying texture to it. This one is a little bit creamier. Now you can either use a sponge with your contour because it's cream and you can bounce it into the skin, or you can use a brush. I prefer to apply it with a brush and then bounce over it just to kind of make sure it's completely seamless with my sponge afterwards. So I'm going to use my It Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection brush, and I like this one because it has synthetic bristles, so it works really well with cream or powder based products. So you can't go wrong with a brush like this. I use it for so much. They are my favourite brushes. So this is more of a contour colour, however you can use them as bronzers as well, but I like to go into the area that we would contour, which is this area here, and then bounce it upwards or stipple it upwards so that we still get a bronzy kind of finish to the skin. It's kind of that contour and bronzing in one. It just saves you having to apply too many products. I don't feel like it's so necessary these days when everything's a little bit more lighter on the skin, a little bit fresher, to have a contour shade, a bronzer shade and highlight and blush. You can kind of get away with these slightly more cool tones as both bronzer and contour. I'm going to stipple this one. This is the SOSU one, which is much more affordable. I think this was about £10 when I bought it on Beauty Bay, and I will link it in the description box for you. So I'm not going to bring it too far forward. I'm just going to stipple it on the hollows of the cheeks, which is this section here. You can see it kind of sinks in a little bit. And that is the majority of the placement, and then using what's left on the bristles you can bounce it or stipple it up slightly higher so it fades off and you get a nice kind of bronze and contour in one, and then you can just stipple over with your damp sponge to press it into the skin. And then that way this will take off the majority of the top layer of the product, so you just get a nice stain left behind, and then that way you can layer on top so you get a more kind of sandwiched finish to your contour and bronzer, and that way it will last longer. If you go too heavy to begin with, it can be a nightmare because it's really hard to blend in, and I find that with the Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, I find that it kind of sets in place and then it becomes a bit hard to blend in, and then if you want to blend over the top it tends to kind of like go a bit patchy. I don't know, I don't seem to get on too well with that one, so that's why it's kind of not on my list of favourites. I do have it and I have used it, but it's not my favourite. I'm going to go in around my hairline as well, and I'm doing all this before I've set my foundation in place because it means that it will blend onto the foundation really easily. That's why I've got a very shiny face at the moment. I want to do my bronzer mix of the two names. I want to do my contour bronzing before I set my skin. What I like about the fact that this is nice and light on the skin is that it's not too heavy in its colour, so that when you go to set your skin, if you want to go in with a little powder bronzer just to get that longevity and layer in nice thin layers, it's not too heavy already, because sometimes it can be heavy with the contour cream, then you want to go in with bronzing powder to set it in place, and it's all too much. It just looks, you know, like you've got lines on your face, or it's too heavy. So don't be afraid to go with something that's a little bit lighter, so that you've got kind of almost like a base, or like think of it as a area to trace over with your bronzing powder. That way you'll set it in place, but it's not going to be too in your face. I think the art of makeup is the subtlety. Sometimes being subtle is the hardest part about it. Some people just take it too far and don't realise, you know, they think, well, I've got to put that on and I've got to put this one on, and there's no subtlety. So think about being subtle. Now obviously these are slightly different shades, so my face on one side might be slightly different. It's more to just show you my favourites. I'm giving you a bit more of an expensive option and one that's a little bit more affordable. This one is the Nude Sticks Bondi Bay, and as I said to you, it's a bit more of a matte finish. I feel like this one has a little bit more of a long-lasting consistency and formula, and that's because it is ever so slightly more mattifying. So I kind of feel like the price of it being a bit more expensive than the SOSU one, for instance, is justified based on it would last you longer, it would sit better. However, I still really love this one. I love the colour of this one more. This one has a little bit more of an orangey finish to it, if you can see the difference between the two, which will give you a bit more of a sun-kissed finish to the skin, but not everybody wants something that's so warm. Some people really do want something that's a little bit more cool. If you're very fair, you might not be able to pull off something that has a bit more of a orange undertone to it. But they both work the same in terms of they are uber creamy and they blend into your foundation beautifully. Going back to this brush, the fact that it's double-sided is brilliant because you can also work your contour colour onto that and you can blend it down your nose. Now remember, you don't always have to contour your nose to reshape it, but you sometimes want to add some of that contour down it to bring warmth back to the face, because as you can see instantly, this side of my nose kind of matches in with my face. If you don't put any colour on it, it tends to feel a bit flat and a bit lost on the face. So sometimes it's more about the dimension rather than just, oh, I need to reshape my nose because it needs it, because it's not always the case. Sometimes it's just about adding a bit of colour. So this side is the Nude Sticks, and there's not really much in it, you know. Yes, this one is a little bit more orange based, but it's very, very subtle. Once it's blended out, I mean, this is quite obvious because it's a lot thicker, but when you're using quite light layers on the skin, you won't notice it. Blend over the top, so you're left with a nice subtle tint to the skin. I love both of them, but I really do like this colour a little bit more. And as I said, creams are so beautiful for whether you are slightly more mature, because powders do tend to enhance fine lines and wrinkles. We tend to not shed as much of the vellus hair on our skin as we age, so anything that's kind of powdery tends to make our face look a little bit more hairy. So you have to remember that when you're layering products, you're also enhancing certain parts of your face that you maybe don't want to, whether that's vellus hair, fine lines, wrinkles, etc. So cream products don't tend to enhance that quite as much, so it's a lot more flattering. And because you can just do it in a wash of colour, you don't have to feel scared about it being over the top or like trend based makeup that we see on social media. It doesn't have to be like that. It can be very subtle. So these two are my absolute go-to favourite cream bronzers. Love them. These are very short, very quick videos. I hope they are helpful for you. I'm going to move on to blush next. So if you want to see blush, come back next week, and then I will just show you my face at the very end when the makeup is finished. So that is my makeup complete. As you can see, I've added the blush to the rest of my face and I absolutely love it. Now though I've added the blush, you can't really see the difference between the SOSU and the Bondi Bay. Both really similar when you are so light-handed with them. So the choice is yours whether you want to spend something that's a little bit more affordable or a little bit more expensive. I don't really think there's a huge difference in them if you are careful with the way you apply them. It's more about the shade choice. So yeah, I really, really love both those products. They are both products I would reach for, both products I would repurchase. So yeah, it just depends on if you're on a budget or if you've got a little bit more to spend. Next Thursday will be my favourite cream and liquid blushes. So hit the notification bell so you don't miss these future uploads. I will see you on Sunday with a probably full face tutorial. So I will see you then. Don't forget to follow me outside of YouTube on Instagram where I'm most active, and I will list and link all the products in the description bar below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye guys.